Good morning and welcome to the George Washington University campus. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. My name is Drew Dickerson. I'm Assistant Commissioner with the Atlantic 10 Conference, and we have a very exciting announcement here today. I'm not going to spend a lot of time up here. We have a lot of great speakers who have some terrific things to share. Just want to recognize a couple of people at the beginning. First of all, our speakers. We'll start off in just a moment with the newly minted president, Dr. Ellen Granberg from George Washington University. We'll have the Atlantic 10 Commissioner Bernadette McGlade as well, followed by Mayor Muriel Bowser, and closing out with Council Member Kenyon McDuffie. I'd also like to recognize a couple of folks from the A10 we have here. We have several of our coaches, both in Olympic sport and our basketball coaches. I'd like to recognize those basketball coaches. We've got Tony Skinn, newly hired at George Mason, men's basketball coach. Vanessa Blair-Lewis, the women's basketball coach at George Mason. Caroline McCombs, the women's basketball coach here at GW. And Chris Caputo, I don't know where you landed, Chris, but the men's basketball coach at GW as well. I'd also like to recognize our newest athletic director in the Atlantic 10 from George Mason University, Marvin Lewis. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Dr. Granberg to come up and welcome everybody on behalf of GW. Dr. Granberg.
Well, Drew, thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to George Washington University, and really an honor to be here and to be hosting this announcement. I'd like to thank Mayor Bowser and A10 Commissioner McGlade for taking the time to be here today. And I want to thank all our GW coaches, athletes, and staff who are here today. As one of the founding members of the A10 Conference, we are delighted to host this conference leadership here today. GW and the A10 have enjoyed a long history of success in athletics. The city of D.C. has hosted the conference on many occasions, including the 2022 Men's Basketball Championship, which was played just a few miles away from our campus. And I know we're all thrilled to have the championship tournament return to D.C. again in 2025. Yeah. Today's announcement is very exciting for our community, and I cannot wait to see what GW, DC, and the A10 do with this next step in our shared history together. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the Commissioner of the Atlantic 10, Bernadette McGlade.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to all of you here today. President Granberg, I have to say thank you for hosting this exciting event. As the 19th newly appointed president at George Washington University, you are leading one of the finest universities in the country, and we are so thrilled to have you here and so thrilled to have you part of the A10 family. So welcome and congratulations again. Mayor Bowser, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. Thank you for your support, for your presence, and for your outstanding leadership. Washington, D.C. is fortunate to have you at the helm because each and every day you're making fabulous decisions that are elevating this great community day in and day out. So thank you for your time and for being here. And Councilman McDuff, truly appreciate you carving out some time to be here, and we're looking forward to being close to you and your community here, so thank you as well. As Commissioner of the Atlantic 10 Conference, I consider it a true privilege to work for the 15 member institutions that are prestigious and well-known across the country. We are located in 9 states and the district, and we represent 31% of the media markets in America. Our 22 championship events provide postseason opportunities for more than 6,000 student athletes, many of whom, well, not many of 6,000, but a few important over here. Where are some of our student athletes? I think we have some. All right. These 22 championships offer these postseason opportunities for these student athletes that come from every state in America and more than 18 international countries. Our championship events record record economic impacts for the cities that host them. We've had economic impacts for 4-day events as high as $17 million, and we have been recognized for competing in some of the best venues in the country. Our partners play an important part for us to be successful, which is why today is so important, because we're adding new partners to the family of the Atlantic 10 Conference. Some of our few current partners that really elevate us and will continue to elevate us as we create a new headquarters here are ESPN, CBS Network, CBS Sports, NBC Universal, USA Network, JMI, an internationally known multimedia rights holder, Spalding, BSN, and many more that I could go on. But certainly today we are adding more partners with this announcement. So to announce the relocation of the Atlantic 10 office and the headquarters here to Washington, D.C. is truly an honor. It is an opportunity for not only myself, but for my staff, many of whom are here today, to elevate the service to our membership and to our student athletes, to our outstanding coaches, which you've met a few, and to all of our senior leaders, our fans, and our alumni. Elevating what we do is a top priority within the mission and goals of the conference office. Being based out of Washington, D.C. will provide us the opportunity, quite simply, to take advantage of the best of the best. The best in goods and services, the best in transportation, the best in media accessibility, and the best in local government, educational opportunities, economic and community partnerships. Which takes me to recognize and thank a few other of our new partners. I want to certainly thank a big thank you to Events DC. Your professional and economic support has contributed to help make this move possible. And also, I would like to thank Mr. Chad Shusky and his team at Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership. Working with your team, Chad, has been a great pleasure, and we look forward to continue working in the future. So please, let's give both of them a great hand as well. In closing, I would just like to say that today is an example of what the A10 considers a core mission and a value. We always pride ourselves because we are so focused on great people, great places, and extraordinary opportunities. And that's exactly what today is bundling up together. So without further ado, I want to say to Mayor Bowser, we are proud to be part of your community, and we will make you proud that we are here and a part of your community. So I'll turn the mic over to you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let's give Commissioner McGlade and the Atlantic 10 Conference a big welcome to Washington, D.C. I like that commissioners you have. She's made, I think, a wonderful decision for college sports, for the teams, for the student athletes, for the coaches, for the conference, and for us. And we certainly look forward to welcoming you and working with you hand in hand on what will make the conference successful. I am delighted that we've been joined by many members of the DC team, including Keith Anderson, who's the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie, at-large council member, and the chair of the Council's Business and Economic Development Committee, as well as Angie Gates, the President and CEO of Events DC, and Sabangale Cook on our DMPED team as well. Chad Chusky and the Economic Partnership, give them a big round of applause for all of the work that they've done as well. And I just want to say on behalf of all of us that this is why we come to work every single day, focused on how we can attract great organizations and businesses to Washington, D.C. I understand that, and I got to meet a fellow road runner. Where's Candy Caged? Where did she go? There's Candy right in the front, and there's another road runner right here who works for us as the director of the Department of Aging. And we are road runners. We went to Elizabeth Seton, so that's what we mean. And it's great to work with fellow Setonites, also sports, powerhouses at one point. So in President Granberg, listen, she's only been here like a month and she's already making big announcements. So thank you for helping us to attract a great employer to Washington, D.C. No doubt it makes a lot of sense for them to be close to George Washington University. And we have a saying now in D.C. that there's really only one. There's only one Washington, and there's no place like home for me. So, Madam President, we look forward to working with you hand in hand on how GW continues to be a preeminent institution for our nation. And we like George Mason, too. So let's give them a big round of applause. So you heard me list a number of our economic development organizations that focus on businesses, but you probably have also heard me talk a lot about sports, a lot. And I have a saying that hospitality and sports and entertainment, oftentimes people think of it as fun and games. And it is. It's fun and games, but it also contributes very much to our city's bottom line, and it contributes to how we think of ourselves as a city. And it contributes to our civic pride. And it allows our children to look to college and professional athletes to see what hard work and discipline and sportsmanship can lead to. And it lets them not only aspire to if they want to play at the collegiate level or professional level, but it allows them to have lifelong fitness and wellness. And so we think those are all things that are part of our values, Commissioner, and we know that that is very important. You may have also heard that we have this comeback plan. Well, we're kind of back, but what we want is the same vibrancy in our city that has allowed us to grow and thrive. And we know that attracting big employers and attracting important employers is a message to everyone that DC is open and a great place to do business. And that's why we're so excited to celebrate with you. I understand, too, that you're bringing a big basketball game here in 2025 downtown at the Capital One Arena. Let's hear it for having big tournaments. We recently hosted the MLS All-Star Game, and the commissioner told me it was the best All-Star Game in the history of the league. We've hosted the All-Star Game for the MLB here as well. Again, the fan experience is among the best that they ever had. And so we're already thinking about your fan experience, your player experience, and the experience for your coaches, so that not only people are going to come here for a great 4-day basketball experience, but they get to experience their nation's capital. So we're really excited to welcome you to that. So we know that part of what we do, and you provide another example of when the Economic Partnership and Chad's team works with Events DC, works with DEMPAD, that we can tap into a toolbox that we have. And that toolbox is to say that Washington, D.C. is the place for great employers. We know that you have choices around the country and around this region, and we want to put the types of and mix of incentives that will make it even easier for you to choose us. And that's important with the partnership that we have with the council to make sure, Councilmember McDuffie, that we always have that toolbox. So again, I want to congratulate the Atlantic 10. I want to congratulate my team, because this is a big deal. You worked hard, and this is what hard work, the right mix of incentives, will do to help us realize every component of our comeback plan. So welcome to Washington. And so with that, I think I'm followed by my partner on the council. We have to give him a big round of applause, because remember that $2 I talked about? I proposed them and I asked the council to make sure I have it, right? Am I right? So let's welcome the chair of the Economic Development Committee, Kenya McDuffie.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you to everybody who is in attendance today. It is indeed a great day, and I'm super delighted to be here with you all. I want to begin by recognizing and welcoming Commissioner McGlade, the Atlantic 10 Conference, and all the 15-member institutions that make up the Atlantic 10 Conference. When you think about the fact that there are 15 member institutions that make up the conference, you also think about the fact that there are different options and places for them to be able to locate their headquarters. And so I'm delighted, and I know the mayor is, that you all chose to locate here. What better place for the conference to be than right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. So let's give a round of applause for the commissioner. I'm also really pleased that we're joined by President Granberg, as was mentioned briefly in her position, but I look forward to working with her and spending time with her on the campus of GW, all the amazing things that they're doing at one of the finest institutions in the country. This is a beautiful place. I grew up, joining the teams and watching basketball games here on the campus, and I look forward to working with you right here and all the things that are going to happen in GW's campus. I also want to welcome the student athletes that are here. I really appreciate you all being here for this great announcement. And then I want to recognize Mayor Bowser for your leadership. You continue to really elevate, I think, our sports economy here in Washington, D.C., and really think about the different types of tools, frankly, that your team needs to be able to attract quality businesses, organizations here to the nation's capital. And I know you work collaboratively, obviously, with a stellar team of folks who I also want to recognize: Keith Anderson, Angie Gates at Events DC, and Chad at the DC Economic Partnership. Let's give Mayor Bowser a round of applause for all the work and focus that she's had. I chair the Committee on Business and Economic Development at the Council in the District of Columbia, and part of my duties are oversight. And we provide a lot of oversight of the executive branch agencies, but I really appreciate events like this, announcements like this, because I think it demonstrates the collaborative nature of government, recognizing that when we put our brains together, when we work hard in collaboration, we can make sure that these types of things happen. And this is no small feat. I grew up, as I said earlier, going to DW's campus, going to George Mason, watching basketball games, and I know how important sports was to me and my friends. In fact, I had friends who attended GW and George Mason and played basketball there, people like Vaughn Jones and Jason Muscuri, who are still friends of mine to this day. But we cannot discount the impact that this decision has on our local sports economy, but our local economy in general. The mayor mentioned that the A10 Conference Championship is going to be here, hosted right here in Washington, D.C. Those games, those types of tournaments help to drive our local economy. As we think about the comeback that the mayor's been focused on and all the energy that my colleagues and I are putting into supporting our small businesses, supporting our big businesses, supporting our workers, then we know that we have to continue to collaborate to make sure that we can have more celebrations like the one we're having today. My hope is that I see a lot of the folks in this room at a game coming up soon. As a father of girls who play sports, soccer and basketball, it truly makes me excited to be able to be a part of this announcement today. And I want to thank you all one last time for your decision to locate the conference here in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam President. And thank you to everybody who contributed to all the work that went into this decision today. Appreciate it.
Thank you to all our speakers. Before we move to the Q&A portion for the media, I would like to ask our speakers to come back up for a special presentation.
Okay. Okay, Mayor Bowser, for your office.
Thank you.
Councilman, for your office.
I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll now take questions for members of the media for Mayor Bowser and Commissioner McGlade. If you just raise your hand, we have a couple of wireless microphones floating around. We'll bring them to you, and they can step up here. Got one back.
Okay, on topic. Yep.
And I apologize if it was covered earlier downstairs. Can you tell us how many jobs will be coming as a result of this, and if there's like kind of a dollar number of what you think economically that means? And then also, as far as bringing A10 tournaments to DC, what we can expect that way in that respect?
Sure. So we did talk already, Mark, about the 2025 championship game that is coming to the Capital One Arena in 2025. The commissioner, I'm going to ask her to talk about what those tournaments have meant elsewhere.
Thank you. Yes, in terms of our operation, our actual full-time employees are basically under 20. However, all of our ancillary events, as you know, we basically hire all of our contractors, subcontractors, et cetera, from essentially the local communities of where we're hosting our championship. So I think the residual economic uplift from all of the championships, and including the A10 Men's Championship, which certainly has economic impacts post-tournament, upward close to, anywhere between 8-10 million, depending on which event it is and how many days it goes on for. So we have also had softball, baseball, volleyball here in the district, and we'll look to continue to bring those events to the district.
This is just a really transitional time in college athletics with NIL, conference realignment. Can you just talk about the decision to do this now here? Just how, I don't know, there's so much going on and things are changing so quickly. So why make this move and why make this move now here?
Well, this move, as many of the partners that were thanked today, this move has been in progress for well over a year. These are not decisions that are made quickly. They're not decisions that are made lightly. And it was a competitive situation with other communities that we were looking at in terms of a little bit better accessibility for the work of a Division I NCAA conference. So it wasn't a decision that's been made over the last 30 days when all of you have been reading so much about conference realignment. And I think one of the refreshing things about this announcement today is the uplifting aspects of this announcement. Unfortunately, in intercollegiate athletics and the Division I realignment landscape, what we've seen over the last several months has been, an emotional roller coaster with the almost the collapse of one of our premier Division I conferences in the country. So it's refreshing to have a good, feel-good announcement about a move like this that is basically going to elevate and uplift not only the Atlantic 10, our core operation, our 15-member institutions, but we certainly hope the entire DMV area and certainly Washington, D.C.
There's a question here.
Hi, I'm David Korn with A10 Talk. Is there any sort of, with the move to DC, is there any sort of plan to make DC a permanent home for either the men's or women's basketball tournaments?
If Mayor Bowser can make that happen, I'll toss the ball to her court.
I like that. I like what you did there. I like it. So we'll talk more. But let me just say this. I want to anchor this in some work that we've been doing in our economic and development and planning space. and with our bids. I see Leona Agrides here. Investing in higher ed is part of our strategy to bring the vitality to our city back. To have a mix of uses. So we have a lot of commercial uses, but we know when we have tournaments and we attract more people to DC, they want to live in downtown too. So that's also going to help us with our mix of spaces. So if you ask me, and the commissioner will ask, are we willing to make more investments in higher ed and sports in higher ed? The answer is yes. We are going to embark over the next several months on a sports study that's really allowing us to examine what our needs are, what the demands are, and what the economic impact will be of additional sports investment. So we're wide open. And part of what you're asking, suggests that we have to have the types of facilities that allow us to be competitive with other cities and other regions. And so that's part of what our sports study will do. Yes.
Did the city offer any incentives to the A10 to come? Can you tell us about those? And then can somebody educate me, are conferences nonprofits? Do they pay taxes? Do they pay any local taxes?
Let me ask the deputy mayor to talk a little bit more about that.
So you've heard a lot about the mayor's comeback plan, and a big part of that plan is DC's comeback or downtown's comeback. And that a large part of that is ensuring that we attract, support business. Attract, retain, and support business. And as part of the tools that we have in the toolbox that was mentioned earlier, I'll mention two. One is the Vitality Fund, which helps businesses with their hard and soft costs if they choose to relocate to the District of Columbia. Another very important program is the Commercial Property Acquisition Fund, in which we will help small businesses or businesses with up to 25% down payment on the purchase of property. So we have tools in the toolbox to attract, retain, and small businesses. One thing I'm happy about supporting A10, Bench DC, is supporting them with venues. So when they have these tournaments, we can maximize the economic impact here in the District of Columbia.
So I appreciate that. Matt, did you offer any of those economic incentives that are in your toolbox to the A10 to come here? Did you help pay for their relocation?
So they receive funding from the Vitality Fund. They receive support from Events DC. So we use several tools in our toolbox to ensure that they would be successful here in the district.
Dollar amount on that?
I don't have their dollar amount on that.
And then the flip side of my question was, does the A10 pay local taxes? Are these nonprofits, like all the universities don't pay property taxes, don't pay any taxes here?
They are a nonprofit.
So there'll be no tax revenue from the A10?
But I think the important...
That's not true.
I think
so that they employ people, and people pay taxes. They bring visitors and events, and those people pay taxes. And so the suggestion...
People pay taxes if they live in the district.
That's correct.
Okay. Are they all committed to living in the district?
They don't have to all live in the district. No employer has every person live in the district, as you know. But to suggest that we're only attracting for-profits to the district would be foolhardy. Any other questions? All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody.